This episode's theme, having desires, is not necessarily a bad thing. We will continue introducing the text of Laozi's Dao De Jing, still focusing on Chapter 1. To help deepen your understanding, I'll read the text again, and then we will focus on the concepts of desireless and with desire. Original text of Chapter 1 of Laozi's Dao De Jing. The Dao that can be spoken is not the eternal Dao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the origin of all things. The named is the mother of all things, therefore, always be without desire to observe its wonders. But always have desire to observe its manifestations. These two arise together but have different names. Both are called the profound. The profound and the more profound. The gateway to all wonders. In the previous episode, we explained the concepts of nameless and named. Since humans possess reason, they must understand and define things by names, otherwise, it is impossible to think. However, once we have knowledge, desires naturally arise. We begin to develop attitudes toward what we know. This leads to two possibilities, desireless and with desire. But here's where the issue arises. When you look at most editions of Laozi's works on the market, more than 80% punctuate the text using 无有, without existence. This is an interpretation from the later versions, but it actually causes significant issues. In fact, the original punctuation according to the Huangbai edition is 无名, nameless and 有名, named, and 无欲, desireless and 有欲, with desire. This is also how the ancient Huanghui silk manuscripts are punctuated. In the Huanghui Dao De Jing, there were no punctuation marks as we use today. Ancient texts used classical phrases like 知乎者也, 知乎者也 for punctuation. In those texts, 无欲 and 有欲 were written as 恒无欲也, 以观其妙, 恒有欲也, 以观其巧. In the original silk script, Heng indicated that this text predates Emperor Wen of Han Luheng. Later, it was altered, and we've grown accustomed to it. However, why do many scholars, and even Western translators of Laozi, continue using the 无有 punctuation? The first to use this method was Wang Angshi from the northern Song dynasty. Wang Angshi, a reformist politician, failed in his political reforms. But he also achieved accomplishments in literature and philosophy. Wang Angshi lived from 1021 to 1086, about 1,000 years later than Wang Bai, and around 1,700 years after Laozi. So why use Wang Angshi's punctuation to read Laozi? There's no room for debate on this matter. While reading Laozi, I've often felt regret, wondering why so many scholars overlook this issue. Even after reviewing Wang Bai's and the Huanghui silk manuscripts, many still prefer to punctuate as 无有. In reality, this interpretation is difficult to understand. Laozi speaks of 无, 无, nothingness and 有, 有, existence in three different places. But these concepts are not as abstract as we imagine. According to Wang Bai's commentary, Laozi's 无 refers to the formless something that cannot be named, while 有 refers to something formable that can be named. You might then ask, how could Laozi speak of having desire? Let's explore the concepts of desireless and with desire. Those who engage in scientific research can explain this clearly. Science has two approaches, the first is without desire, and the second is with desire. When speaking of without desire, the researcher does not interfere with the object of study but only observes its intricacies. I recall watching a scene on the Discovery Channel. A male lion approached a female lioness with 4 cubs, and the male lion killed the cubs. The lioness did not resist but merely confirmed the cubs were dead before following the male lion, preparing to mate again. This seemingly harsh act ensures the survival of the species. If humans were to intervene and protect all the cubs, it would disrupt the balance of nature. Similarly, sea turtles lay around 200 eggs, but only 2 or 3 of the hatchlings will survive to adulthood. If humans intervene and protect all the eggs, there would be an overpopulation of sea turtles, which could disrupt the marine ecosystem. Non-interference with nature. This is the concept of without desire, which allows us to see the wonder of all things. But why does Laozi mention having desire? With desire, we can observe the boundaries of all things. The term 叫 refers to the limits or boundaries of things. When humans have desires, they intervene to see how things react. This allows us to understand the capabilities of certain animals, how strong they are, how sharp their senses are, enabling us to use them for human needs. For example, in ancient times, humans observed various animals before deciding which ones could help pull carts. Elephants are strong but can be dangerous when enraged, so humans eventually chose horses and oxen. This is the concept of having desire. By understanding the limits of things, we can use them appropriately. Another example from the Discovery Channel was about a murder case where the body was dumped into the sea. Despite multiple searches, the rescue team couldn't locate the body. Eventually, they brought a hunting dog onto the rescue boat. As the dog circled a specific area, it started barking intensely, and divers found the body there. It had been several days, and the sea was salty with constant waves, yet the dog could detect the body 20 meters below. This is a prime example of having desire. By intervening and observing reactions, humans can understand the abilities of all creatures, using this knowledge for practical purposes. So, when Laozi says these two arise together but have different names, what does he mean? Wang Bai suggests this refers to the origin and the mother, which makes sense. Earlier, we mentioned nameless and named, the origin and the mother. Both stem from the same source, which is the Tao, and both are named differently depending on their functions. Lastly, here's a thought exercise for you. Can you apply the concepts of desireless and with desire in your life? What do you perceive when you have no desire, and what do you perceive when you have a certain desire? Can you give an example of a person or thing to illustrate this difference? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you.